Welcome to the Intern Whisperer Live, the show all about internships and how to survive them. This is Jerron.
This is Isabella, and tonight we have Diana Fiumara. Did I say it right?
Fiumara.
Yeah, Fiumara. See, she was right. With Echo Tech Strategy and Apps, a previous Pivot Business Consulting intern. And on tonight's show, we will hear from Diana about her intern experience, entrepreneurship, great leaders, other fun things that we're going to be sharing that may not be on the show notes.
And as she said, also we'll be talking about some great leaders, entrepreneurship, and the coolest innovation in your industry.
All right. So how can people find us? And right now you can find us on Facebook Live, Intern Pursuit, on Facebook with Pivot Biz Consult. You can find Pivot Business Consulting and Intern Pursuit on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram. You can find us on LinkedIn, and also you can watch us live on the mixlr.com/Valencia College Radio Show.
But before we start the show, let's talk about our first sponsor, Starter Studio, an accelerator and co-working area located in downtown Orlando. A cool co-working space to 100-plus companies working in areas of technology and supportive businesses. A healthy startup community doesn't exist in a bubble, and Starter Studio is working to connect startups to a broader entrepreneurial ecosystem that will help them grow. You can find them at starterstudio.org. Thank you, Starter Studio, for sponsoring the Intern Whisperer Live.
So Diana, what you may not know is that the music that we play, it's actually from the Intern Pursuit game. And there is a 16-year-old that created that music because I was wanting sci-fi music. Yeah. And so all of the music we play, it's original. It's specifically for the game. And she is from England. She is here this Thursday. I'm really excited because tomorrow I get to go and meet her. And she's coming to see her cousin get married.
Wow.
Yeah. But, you know, I always like to make sure people know Sophie Lloyd is the student that created that. She's now 17, but like, can you imagine 16 years old?
Pretty cool.
Yeah,
music.
It's amazing. I sit here and go, okay, what was I doing at 16? No, I don't know. Maybe like stupid stuff.
But now you're on the radio.
Yeah, I'm on the radio. I always love Jerron because he always goes, but you're doing this. And, you know, he's a positive breath of fresh air.
I mean, it's not just about what you've been doing before, it's what you're doing now.
Yes, that is so true. So, Diana, we're going to be talking about just some fun things, and one of those will be Valencia. A lot of the people that are on this show are from Valencia College, so I know that you have a story about Valencia. Why don't you share it with us?
I graduated from Valencia a while ago.
Yeah.
We'll go with that, a while ago. I was an honor student here. I participated in Phi Theta Kappa. I was the president of an organization called HEROES, Human Empathy and Rights Organization, led by probably one of the most cherished professors I've ever had.
Oh, let's give this person a shout out.
Professor Rampersad. He teaches political science and yoga here at East Campus, and then political science mostly at West, at least when I was. So he helped me get into leadership here at Valencia in student level, so I really enjoyed my time here as a Valencia student. I actually got my GED and registered for school at Valencia in the same month. So,
wow, that's nice.
A long time ago.
We love Valencia because we get to be in this really cool radio station, and they are just such a great academic partner to work with. So you and I met. Let's talk about that also. How did you and I meet? Because I remember it and you remember it. And let's see if our stories match.
That was also a long time ago. I transferred to Rollins to study psychology. And I think I'll give a shout out to a good old friend of mine, Vivian Hua, who was a transfer student from Valencia to Rollins as well. And she really wanted to go to the career expo that Rollins was having. And I, was indifferent about it, but she really wanted to go. And she needed a friend to go with. So I was that friend. I put on my pencil skirt and we went on to the expo and talked to a lot of different organizations who were hiring interns or hiring grads, and that's where I met you.
Yep, it was. That is true.
And I asked you if I could hand you my resume, and you actually said, no, actually, you can email it to me.
I was trying to not have to have tons of paper. And I was also, that's how I kind of vet people to see how interested they are.
Yeah, and it left an impression on me that, if you really were interested in, after this brief discussion, introduction, if you were interested in what we had to offer, then you would do your due diligence and follow up.
Mm-hmm. So it's so funny to me that you think 3 years ago or 4 years ago is like so long ago, because it's like, really? That is no concept.
A lot has happened in my own personal life. In that span, I've become a mother. I've gotten married. I've been, growing in my career. So it is, and I turned 30 this year.
Oh, wow.
So I'm very sensitive to time right now.
Yeah. You get more sensitive to it as it continues to pass, because you realize that, it's really
so
short.
Valencia seems like such a long time ago, but I really enjoyed my time here. I really enjoyed my growth here at Valencia. And it's really nice to be back.
Mm-hmm. It is nice. Okay, so since that time, I know that you and I, when you were interning with me, we worked on a number of things. One of them was putting on an event that was really a marketing vehicle to be able to drive more traffic to the company. And one of the gifts that I think is such an outstanding gift of yours is, well, you have so many, but this one was your organizational skills and to be able to keep everybody on task. And man, you made sure, I know you're a project manager now, but you made sure that event ran so smooth. And it was amazing to me because I so appreciated that. I didn't have to do a darn thing. I just know that you were there going, okay, you over here, your job is to make sure that she gets from here to here and here. And then that is it. That is all you're supposed to do. And then the next person was handed over, and they were supposed to make sure everything was seamless. And I had no worries because I knew you were in charge.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed that time. And it was a very safe environment to practice management of talent and resources. And if it goes smoothly, it goes smoothly. If it doesn't, you have
not that many people
you
know.
have a backup plan, or you make it up as you go.
Yeah.
And there's always a way out. There's you can always figure it out. Say I'm sorry. Just get through it and face whatever it is that happens live at the event in front of the client. We're all human, so.
Yeah, it's important to remember that we're human.
And it's never going to go as you planned. Never.
No,
Take it from me.
That's the fun thing about life.
Yeah. And what's really great is that it's seamless, though, to everybody else that is on the outside of the organization. She was doing things, and nobody would know if there was a hiccup, honestly. The only person that knew was either herself or possibly maybe me. But I just felt like it ran so smooth, and I that made her stand out even more. She's extremely organized. She communicates well. And so when it came time for her to find a job, she had finished her internship. I was going, where could I put her? And that's where, I know Shay, and she's going to be a guest on our show that's going to be coming up next month. June. She was looking for somebody to work with. I had sent her several candidates, and she decided on you. So you began to learn about entrepreneurship. She was down with We Venture. She'll explain what that is, too. But, we'll let her tell that.
We Venture was a women's business center, and we helped women start and grow their businesses, specifically here in Central Florida. And meeting Dana Shea was extremely inspiring. She's extremely graceful and poised and super smart. She's a graduate from Full Sail, and she's done a lot of different innovations. She's the co-founder of Fervor right now. And I met her, first time I ever met her in person, we were at the Exchange Building, and it was the launch of We Venture. And the entire Exchange Building was filled with like 200, 300 people. And I just remember Shay getting on stage, and she gets up to the podium, and she turns around, and she takes this selfie of all these people that have come to see the grand opening. And we were in the back. I hadn't even officially met her yet. We were in the back, and then we introduced her, and I had interviewed with her. I contracted with her for a while, and then got on board onto her team, and that was all because I decided to go to that internship expo with my friend Vivian. So that's the community and the network that I have gotten just from my internship experience is invaluable through jobs and the entire entrepreneurship community at Starter Studio. I don't know anything besides entrepreneurship jobs and our startup tech community, and I really like living and breathing that type of work environment.
It's an infectious energy, honestly. I don't think you've ever been down there yet.
I still have not.
Yeah, we've got to get you down there.
We got to fix that.
Summer's coming up. I got time.
Yeah.
It's
You'll have to come down.
infectious. Everybody down there is working on something, or they're fixing something, or there's a lot of cross pollination of just ideas and resources and how you do it, and you can do everything very, very, very fast if you want to. There's a lot of just energy just to harvest from being in this community.
Yeah, I think a lot of it is because, just so you know, we sit in this big open environment. You can have an individual office if you want, but it's a big open environment. So my office is a desk that is next to another person's desk. And we can lean over and go, hey, I have this question about this. So one of the companies that sits next to me is called Educate, and they are they provide a platform that helps employers give financial wellness services to their employees. So right next to me is the sales and marketing guy, and I really love sitting there talking with Mark because I can say, oh my gosh, I have this question, and he can say, oh, here, this is how you do this. And it could be something I didn't even think about.
Okay, so everyone's always there to help each other, essentially.
Very much so. It's a really nice environment.
I really enjoy going to get coffee.
Yeah. Now, she's in the expansion space, so she's not always in that area, and hers feels more like their own office, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, we have a lot of space out there. We have a lot of desks. And,
yeah. How many people are over at Echo?
10.
Yeah. So they pretty much take up the space there. There's like a conference room there, and then there's these independent offices where, they are their own entrepreneurs and they work out of those offices. But hers is more of an open space.
Yeah, on our side we have some of our neighbors, like we have the Church Street District. The girl, she does all of the big Church Street District events and the ones that use like block parties and all those. So she
the
does,
spring and summer
she
weekend.
does some cool stuff.
Yeah, she does
So
do
we have
nice
some cool
stuff.
neighbors.
And what's your favorite thing about being in that kind of environment for you?
That you're never going to see the same face again. Like you're never going to see the same face. Like all of the time you walk in and you have your team, you say good morning, you go get coffee. There's different things going on. There could be a different workshop going on because the space is open to rent to the public, correct? If you need like a conference room space and there's different people coming in and out to do business with all of the businesses that are in the co-working space. So
we have mentors that come down. Like today I met with one of my financial mentors, Scott Ritchie. I'm giving him a shout out. He's awesome. And so we're still tweaking my financial models for the intern pursuit software, and I've got them. They're down. So now it's something that, and just giving a heads up, it should be ready. I'm going to say it because if I say it, it becomes a real reality.
Do it.
May 1st. It's
May
supposed
1st,
to be
you heard that.
a soft goal, soft launch, and it's setting it up for a pilot study. So.
Excited?
Very much so. Very much so. So when I tell them this tonight on the call, they're going to go, oh, no, she actually said it. So just a little pressure, just a little.
You see a lot of friends. I've been there. I've worked out of that co-working space first when I was with WeVenture, and now I work out of Echo. So it's like home. I drive downtown every day.
So you need to tell everybody what Echo is because we have no idea. Echo. Yeah.
Echo Tech Strategy and Apps. We build mobile applications and focus on building them, consulting with you about them, building the best product, marketing it. So they've been around since 2008.
I want to give a special shout out to Carlos because I know we had to get, I said, hey, I need to be able to get out here. Can you leave a little bit early? So Carlos, thank you so much for letting her sneak out the door with me. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, Carlos.
Yeah, we do appreciate it. And so innovation, what type of innovation do you see in that industry of app development?
Mobile development. you never know what the next thing that's coming. So your team has to always stay on the latest releases of things and read up on technology, different theories of technology, because when the Apples of the world decide to come out with a new phone or a new OS, your developers need to stay on top of that. And they don't send you a nice little release note that says, by the way, development team, Apple's going to do this. You find out about it just like the rest of the world does. So innovation is being able to keep your skills sharp, even though you may not know what's around the corner.
Mm-hmm. So your job there is a project manager. Yeah. So, and I know, because to me, that's like perfect for you, because again, it requires somebody that communicates at a very high level. You have to be able to keep people organized, pay attention to dates, delivery dates, ship dates, all of that good stuff. What's that been like?
I absolutely love project management. You're right. It is a role for me. There is a lot of detail and moving parts, but there's a satisfaction to see the wheels and the gears turning just perfectly, or the orchestra playing just right, or picking up the pieces if it didn't go right. And it's really not the project manager that makes, or the project lead, or anybody that really makes anything happen at all. They just are with the team when it is happening, and they help the team get their pieces together so they can produce something. So it's really rewarding to harvest talent, build solutions for clients. Clients sometimes come in with problems that we may not even know how to solve right away, but just innovating, thinking through it, we can provide these technical solutions. And that's really rewarding, because Google only takes you so far. And I work with some really talented developers that have been developing for decades, some of them. And they have all sorts of technology industry experience, not just 10 years, but they've seen evolutions of technology, and they've survived the changes of those evolutions, and they've learned the new languages. So it's always inspiring to see what a younger developer may come up with as a solution versus a more seasoned developer. And they're all the right solution, but the question is if it's the right solution for the client at that time.
That is always the right question. What does the client want? How do we make the client happy? And we can make recommendations, but it's still, they may come back and say, well, I really need it to be red, not blue. And I need it to be red that is like 5 times with part green in it. And you're going, okay, I don't know what that is, but I have to figure it out.
We have to figure it out, yeah. Clients can have all sorts of different backgrounds. They could be, you could be your client. They could be an entire technology organization and be very fluent in the technology, or they may run another sort of business that leverages technology, but they're subject matter experts in art or something else. And so they come to you to build something with your technology expertise. So you get to talk to people with different mindsets about technology. And that can be challenging sometimes. People have different views of what technology is, how to use it, how to update it, how to maintain it, what's worth investing in. I mean, software is a living and breathing thing.
Yeah.
And once you make it, it's there in the world, and then somebody has to take care of it. So that's always an interesting conversation to have.
So what was really amazing is that she didn't know anything about programming or working with these individuals.
Now you're really telling them.
Yeah, because, she started as an intern, and then she got into WeVenture. And, I'm really glad. I know that Shay is one of my biggest fans too. She'll go and say, oh my God, I just love this woman. And she sings her praises too, just like I am, because we know that she's extraordinary. And we will she was thrown into that environment where she was learning about technology and just, again, programming. But she's a really quick learner, and she was able to take it and make it a spectacular career opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, I've been doing this for almost 2 years now, so it's hard to think back to when I first started at Echo. The previous senior vice president at Echo was Amy Janser, also one of my mentors. And Amy sat on the board of WeVenture. So when I talk about the network and community of women that I've really gained just by deciding to go to that internship expo, at almost 30 that I've started to reflect back on how much growth I've had as an individual because of that one decision. And Amy sat on our board, and she had seen me work in WeVenture and put on events and help Shay. And she said, you really have the skill sets to be a project manager. And I said, Amy, I don't know anything about app development. And she says, you don't have to. I will teach you. And she did. And we learned together. And she's gone on to she works at Blizzard now, which I think is so cool. She's
in Texas, right?
Yeah. Well, that's most of the time. I think she travels a lot now. But she believed in me, and she could see my skill sets. And she said, you're a millennial. You use your cell phone. You know technology. You're comfortable with technology. There's a certain way you talk to clients about getting requirements of what it is that you want me to make, why you want to make it, what's the purpose behind creating this product. And, there's a template for it. And you have to be, in this kind of work, just comfortable with being uncomfortable and knowing that you do not know all the answers, but your job is to get the answers and to ask the right questions. And if you don't even know what the right questions are, to sit the right subject matter expertise at your table to ask the correct technical questions and go down those paths. I mean, I learn new things every single day at work, every single day at work. But it's rewarding when you can go home and say, you know what, now I know how to do that.
Yeah, so the skills that you initially have to come in and get any kind of a job, one of the things that I stress to students is that you need to have really strong research skills. So obviously you have that. And that was one of the things that made Jerron stand out also, is he has really good research skills, plus that spectacular radio voice.
Oh, yeah. It's a
yeah.
gift.
You're really good at that department.
If I didn't have that, I don't know if I would have gotten this internship.
Yeah. And that's really like when we met, I said, oh, that voice, that's awesome. So also communication. Yeah, go ahead.
Actually, I have one question. Since you mentioned your boss mentioned you were a millennial, do you think that, like, at least in your workspace, you being a millennial gives you that advantage, or like you would thrive in that area?
I work with some really smart people, so super
I'm
smart.
pretty sure her IQ is pretty high also,
No, but
so that's why I think she likes
I
it.
work with some really smart people, so I think it makes me really comfortable. I use technology during presentations, talking to the client, sometimes helping the client use their own technology or troubleshooting through something. So yeah, I do have an advantage.
Yeah, I was only curious because I know, like, employers often sometimes have the idea of, like, when it comes to millennials, they don't always respect them that same way. But hearing your boss say the exact opposite, I was just curious about, like, the kind of people you had working there with you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Carlos really, really enjoys diversity in his team, and he looks for individuals to fit his team well, and to leverage their skills from that point. So if they're older or younger, it's
irrelevant.
Yeah,
it's really
are you a fit for? Are you bringing the skill sets to the table that are needed? Echo's a pretty cool place to work, and I've met some pretty smart people working there.
That's really interesting because one of the things that came up today, I did a lunch and learn down there at Starter Studio, and the lunch and learn was about hiring your first hires, bringing on your first hires. And I was talking about a number of things. And one of the topics that came up in the conversation with the people in the room was we were talking about ageism, and how there is a perception that, if you're over 40, you don't have this, whatever this is, And we were talking about how millennials, and that was also part of the conversation, millennials, they should know so much because they were born with the phones pretty much in their lifetime. And, the misperception I have found is that, they know the phone, they understand the technology, but they don't understand necessarily how to use it in business. And so that's why the internship is there, so that they learn how to use it in the business place. That's what they're really looking for. And we were just talking about resumes and all types of things when it comes to hiring people. But the key takeaway from that is that having a blind process when you're getting ready to hire, so you're not paying attention to gender, to ethnicity, to race, to any of these generation, pegging them for that. Can they do the job? That's what people should pay attention to, is, are you qualified for the job? Are you the best person that's qualified for the job? Because it shouldn't matter what you look like or what your name is.
Yeah. Really well said.
Yeah,
Yeah,
thank you.
I know actually, like I just finished my time at like the PBS station.
Yeah.
And I know one of the people in charge of that station was mentioning how like they're talking about like resumes and everything, and someone was asking, is it wise to put like your picture on a resume? And I know he was just saying it's like, no, just because they might not like that you have like curly hair, or like maybe that you're black or white, or maybe you're too old, or maybe you're bald, or just so many different things that
Right.
people might judge you on that you just might not think of.
Yeah,
So-
I agree with that. I don't think that people should put that on there at all, because it's bad enough when people see a name, and if it's a name that they may go, I don't know how to say this name, then they may have a perception, I don't want to work with that person. So it's just keep it as simple as possible and just focus on the skills and see what somebody really comes in and what they can do instead of what they look like on paper or what they really look like. Yeah. So going back to leaders, let's talk about leaders. Oh, before we do that, what piece of advice would you give to somebody that's looking for an internship?
Do it.
Yeah.
Do it. An internship is a gateway. It's a gateway to learning an industry you may not be familiar with. Maybe if it's your exact major and you're like, I want to do accounting, or I want to do this, you may get in there and say, this is what your day looks like. I don't like this. I don't want to do this. I'm switching my major. Or you may meet some really cool people, and you'll start LinkedIn networking, and you'll just really get a jump start before you're out of school. Geez, like if Vivian wouldn't have asked me to go to the expo, I maybe I would have found some other opportunity. But it really, like the trickle effect. I've met a lot of mentors on that journey that will stay with me for life. I'm not sure I can say that about my life prior to Valencia. I wasn't on that track, on that path. I was just working to pay my rent. So internships, everyone should do one.
Yeah.
It should really be mandatory, but choice is
Some
good.
schools do require it.
Yeah.
I know Valencia does. They do really stress the value of it, and most of the programs here do it. And we did a video where I asked one of the video production students to go out and do a survey and ask students, what do they value most? Do they want to be paid, or do they want to have real job experience? And every single person that he interviewed at UCF and at Valencia, he went to East, West, he went to UCF. I think he tried to get to Rollins. He didn't get over there. But he asked these students, what is it that they wanted? And they said they want real skills. They want something that is really on the resume that says, yeah, I can do this.
Well, the United States has a little bit of an epidemic of, outputting graduates and they don't necessarily have a job lined up, or they may do a couple side jobs, but they've either not found that true career path, or they haven't been able to get an entry-level position even though they're extremely well-educated. So they may choose to go back to school to get a little bit more internship and mentorship and getting involved in a program like what you're doing, Isabella. It really provides a lot of opportunity here locally in the Orlando community to connect people. Say there is talent here. You don't have to go to another city. There's a lot of talent here in Orlando, and people are graduating left and right. They need jobs, but they may not know where to go or who to talk to, and so.
Yeah, so I'm going to make sure everybody understands what Intern Pursuit is, just for our listeners. Intern Pursuit is a software that matches students to employers with an algorithm. It has 2 levels of assessments, one for real-time skill assessment for the employer so they can see where the student is on 5 to 6 different levels of soft skills. It also has another assessment for culture fit to make sure this is somebody that's going to work well in your company, with a personality assessment. And then lastly, the thing that's the most important is there's a compliance documentation, because I saw the problem that students were wanting real talent, they want to have real skills, and employers don't necessarily want to have to pay for an intern that's going to turn around and leave. So I went, okay, so if a student is really wanting to have real skills and the employer is going, well, it's going to be an unpaid internship, that was the problem I saw, and I wanted to solve that. So that's where it came out of, making sure it guides the employer through this process of having a compliant internship with the Department of Labor, and it documents their compliance. So now the student's getting what they're wanting, the employer gets what they're wanting, in the sense of it's not having unpaid talent. It's actually guiding the student through a process of, these are the skills that you're going to be earning. So that's what intern pursuit is, just so everybody's kind of clear on that one. So thank you for that little shout out there. I appreciate it. And allowing me the opportunity to share that. So, great leaders. I know that you and I had talked about this, and it's not just one. There's like so many people, and you had mentioned one of your professors from Valencia here. So you can feel free, if there's one, go ahead. But if there's others, you've mentioned Amy and Shay, so feel free to go ahead and sing the praises.
Well, yeah, I've mentioned a lot of leaders that I've had in my path through academia that have really resided with me, and why I recommend internships and just going through that process. Professor Ram Prasad definitely led me through a leadership path, really encouraged me to take leadership roles within my community. I got some public speaking experience. He encouraged me to go to Rollins. So I really enjoyed that from him, and he's just a very grounded soul, very wise man. And Shay and Amy, Shay and Amy, they're in line with you. So there's Isabella, there's Shay, there's Amy, and I think it's really powerful to as a woman in tech who did not study tech. I studied psychology. I am a GED student. I went to Valencia. I did the transfer into Rollins, and I work for a cutting-edge app development company. And I would have never sat in a class, in a psychology class that said, you're going to be a project manager, you're going to develop apps. Right? Nobody could tell me that the skill sets that were natural to me and that I developed through my work history. So I'll shout out to all of my mentors, and but probably most close to me is my family, and my mom, and my husband, and my daughter. My mom has a very unique background. She studied fine arts and mechanical engineering, so she has that creative brain, and she has that very technical brain as well, which is a little bit far and few. And so my mother taught me, unfortunately she would complain about this, my mother taught me that literally if you can think of it and you can dream it, it can happen. You can make it happen. The design is possible. You just have to break it down to the pieces. You just have to put the team together that can help you achieve it. Because she had both the creative and the mechanical mind, I was exposed to that a lot as a kid through school projects and just...
Yeah, that explains a lot. I did not know that about your mom.
Yeah, my mother
that's
has
interesting.
a very, very, she's extremely educated, and a very unique background. So I have a technical side to me, but although I went more soft skill side, I'm able to think on that more mechanical, technical side, even though I'm not an expert at it, because I had somebody that said, these things are possible. These are possible. And late in the journey is my husband. That's an adventure in itself. I'm newly married, and we have a beautiful 2-year-old daughter, and I love him very much, and he's very supportive, and we're both, growing in our careers, and
special shout out to Anthony is his name, so we should say his name.
Hi, baby. But we're both growing in our careers, and I think it's a very special place to be inside of a marriage and a relationship. We're putting roots down in Orlando. We really want to stay here and, stay in this innovative community.
So I think we probably need to take a break and acknowledge our other sponsor, right?
But before we do that, I still want to ask, what do you think the greatest thing you learned while interning with Isabella?
Oh, thank you, John.
The greatest thing that I learned interning for Isabella, I would have to say the greatest thing that I learned, it's so, all these thoughts are just flooding in. How do I get just one out. I think it's that if you believe in yourself. I came to Isabella really nervous. Isabella asked me a lot of hard questions of what do I want to do, and where do you see yourself working? And because I have a lot of soft skills, it makes it difficult sometimes to talk about what I want to do or what kind of career path I see myself in. Because project management, I could apply it to, other industries. So just thinking through that with you, I think is...
Oh, well, thank you.
Yeah. The hard stuff.
Okay.
That one wasn't on the list. So she wasn't, yeah. So it was
I'll answer your question.
Yeah.
And also
With
before our
grace.
sponsor, I think Anthony said hello.
Oh, there he is. Hello, Anthony. Yay. We've got somebody that just wrote in, so that's
Right.
awesome. Yeah. Okay, so let's go and acknowledge our other sponsor.
All right. BMDM Marketing Agency. BMDM is a direct marketing agency focused on helping companies reach individuals through online and offline means. Their newest product enables them to send postcards or letters to the homes of anonymous website visitors within 24 hours of their visit using a patented IP matching technology and our in-house on-demand printing. Thank you, BMDM Marketing Agency, for sponsoring the Intern Whisperer Live.
So for this next segment of our show, and I know our time is just being eaten up, I did want to be able to acknowledge what happened this past weekend. And this was a personal goal of mine, is to bring 6 schools to the stage and talk about what innovation looks like in education. So this was, I'm on the TEDx Orlando leadership team, and this was a personal goal of mine to be able to showcase all of the great things that every school is doing in this area, because many times in this entrepreneurial community we hear from people that are in California or New York or wherever, and they'll go, "Oh, Orlando, please, no, that's like nothing." We are
Orlando's
nothing.
the place to be.
Yeah, and we know that that is not the case, because Silicon Valley did not become that without it having some type of people that were pioneers that planted their flag in the ground and said, yes, this is where we are. So it's the same in Orlando. And so I had asked Alex and said, Alex Rudloff, and I said, hey, I'd like to be able to put this on. I had to do a presentation, honestly. And I said, I want to bring Embry-Riddle, Rollins College, UCF, Valencia, Full Sail, Seminole State, have them all here on the stage and talk about what innovation looks like. And this was a phenomenal event. I am not kidding. It was amazing. And it was a salon event, so it's not like a typical TEDx event where, you have a presenter, they go up there and they talk. This was a panel discussion, and we opened with a video about what it does innovation in education look like. And it was in a K through 12 setting. And these were higher ed, so they were given a direction that by me that said, okay, so what does it look like in your institution? And I want you to be able to share some stories about how that's being integrated into what the students are learning. And they all came back with the most amazing stories, because, each school had Dr. Karen Gaines, she was from Embry-Riddle. We had Nell Thompson, who's the VP of Academic Innovation from Full Sail. We had Josie Belzak from Rollins College. She's an attorney, and she's in the social entrepreneur program. Then we had Laura Ross, who's from Seminole State, and she's a VP over there also. And she's a doctor also, so, Dr. Laura Ross, who is also, by the way, married to Jerry Ross, who runs the National Entrepreneur Center. So, there's still that little ecosystem going on. And then we had Melody Bauman, who's from UCF, and she's an interim VP that's over there running UCF while we're getting the new leader in place. And then lastly, we had Al I slaughter his name, Grosha, who is a mathematics professor that's over at Valencia College, and he is the president over all of the academic all of the professors, all of the academic staff on all of the campuses, and he's very well respected. So they all talked about what does innovation look like. At the end of a salon event, it's supposed to be interactive, where people are able to ask questions. And so on the floor were microphones. We had a 13-year-old come up and ask a question of the panelists. And then we had college-level students. We had a high school student that came up. And then we also had somebody from Florida Hospital in their education department. And they were asking questions about virtual reality and how do they also use artificial intelligence. And what is it that we're doing with all different types of, like the social entrepreneur program that Rollins has, and how is that raising more awareness to causes that are out there. Seminole State had project-based learning that was in something that they have actually implemented and seen really good results on the campus. So it's not even just capstone. It's very team-centered is what the common thread was among all of the panelists. They talked about how latest technology is being involved in there, whether it's blended learning, you're doing things that are either online. It was an amazing day. So I want to be able to make sure that people know that those videos, they were taken by Valencia College, the video production school.
Thank you, Valencia, again.
Yes, yes. So they were there, and those are being edited by an intern that's been with me. His name is Quillis Frazier, and he is tasked with creating 6 independent little videos that will be talking about that 10 minutes that each one of those panelists had to share. What does that look like on their campus? So people can look for that on the Facebook TEDx Orlando page when those get put out there, but we have had pictures. It was truly a total educational partnership because it was at Boone High School, and the students that are in the AV department there, they were the ones that were running the soundboard and running the actual overhead projector, and they just did a phenomenal job too. So high school students, we were there with, middle school students that were in the audience, and it was just really well attended, and I could not have been more proud of the fact that this was such a highlight as to what education brings to Central Florida and how it contributes to jobs, how it contributes to entrepreneurship, how it contributes to just so much, just knowledge, just the knowledge itself. And I really want to thank each one of those people that were on the panel. I want to thank all of the volunteers that were there, Gabby and Ty. They were from the UCF Rosen School, and they were learning event management, and so they were engaged in that whole process. And we had a student that is editing the videos. We had so much engagement from students, and I was just really pleased for that. So that's like the best thing that has happened. I want to say this month, and I worked really hard with it, but so did everybody else with me, and I am so thankful for all of those people. Oh, and Chris, I should give a special shout out to Chris. And I slaughter her last name too also. It's really hard. Congelio, and she is an event planner, and God bless her. She was there. She so reminds me.
You find those. You
Yeah.
find those. You
Yeah.
have a knack for finding those.
I
event
love
planners.
people that are organized. I love
Aubrey.
that. Yeah. I know. Aubrey too. Yeah. And she's been on the show also. Yeah. And so I really love it because I think that I'm pretty organized, but then when I work with other people, I sit there and go, oh man, they're the mentor for me also, because it's like I feel like I've met my twin, so to speak. So anyway, that was something that was really outstanding. And sadly, I know that you had wanted to come, but you had a conflict. And I didn't know. I don't even think I reached out to you. I'm so sorry,
That's
John.
fine. That's fine. Next time.
Yeah. Well, don't worry. There will be one.
You're gonna come out to start our studio. We're gonna show you around.
Yeah. There's going to be another TEDx event. It will be a salon event, and Thomas Waterman is going to be working on that one. He asked that I work with him. So that is about purpose-driven economy. And then in October, we have the big TEDx event with the the people going up on the stage. And that is when we're doing Creative City Weekend. So that will be really exciting. So we have a lot of fun stuff that's coming up. Yeah.
All right, so a lot of opportunities for our future interns to get involved too.
Yes, and it is peak recruiting season. I will say that. So I am
Peak
actually
intern recruiting season.
I am actively seeking people that would like to intern with Pivot's employer clients. It's all discipline. So you know what? You are like my favorite best friend.
I got you.
You do? Oh my God! You always have my back. I love that.
I didn't even
Thank
know it
you.
was peak season. I was just saying, I was like, I know.
Yeah.
I know.
And right now I'm like matching like crazy. And so even still, when I did that presentation earlier today, one of the starters came up and they said, okay, we'd like to get an intern. How do we work with you on that? And this is what we would do. So I was really pleased. And just as I want to do a little bragging rights on this one. In Q1, I had started with a small sample pool of employers. And in Q2, I've had 3 times the requests for employers looking for interns. And these are all people that don't know how to access or may not want to try and access the channels of going through it. So I was really pleased to be able to share that as a growth milestone for me. And with the software, I'm really hoping that Q3 and 4 will be even better.
Congratulations.
So, yeah.
Well, I hope Intern Whisperer was responsible for getting the word out. At least
Yep.
a little bit.
I sure hope so. I know that Nell Thompson, I'm going to give her another special shout out. She had said that, yes, I said, I'd really like to work with the guys with South by Southwest. And this is a big music festival that's in California. And it's more than just a music festival. It's huge, bigger than like a Coachella, bigger than some of the things. And it's got the same kind of a richness of a TEDx event or a TED event. And I said, I'd really like to interview those guys. And she said, I don't know, let's see what we can make happen. So I am hoping that we can have a whole different type of a dynamic here with our shows that are going to be coming up.
All right. Can't wait to do it.
Yeah. So with that said, I feel like I probably have monopolized some of that time there, but I had some really great things that I wanted to share about with the workshop today. Oh, and a special shout out too. Coming up May 1st, Starter Studio will have their demo night at Dr. Phillips. So anybody wanting to get tickets and see Class 9 go up on the stage, there are 10 companies that will be going up to share the latest in their innovation, their ideas. 7-minute pitch. It is at Dr. Phillips, and tickets are on sale on. You can go to Facebook Starter Studio, and you can get your tickets there. They're on Meetup. They're on Eventbrite. All you have to know is Starter Studio, May 1st. Doors open at 6, and I think they're on the stage at 7. But I've got my ticket, and I'm hoping that we sell out that auditorium. So.
May 1st is just going to be an eventful day for you.
It sure will be. It sure will be.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because I know
She
that
already
Scott.
threw it out there.
Yeah, you're right. Because Scott told me, he said, okay, I expect to hear from you on May 1st that you better call me. You better make sure I know that your product launched. And I went, okay. So, yeah. Anyway, so we probably need to be doing, what is our next thing that we have to do here? I know it's like time is up. So we need to give any special shout outs now.
Any shout outs, Diana?
Okay, so Anthony, you should make sure, because he is the first guest we've ever had that has actually, listener, that has come in and said something on this.
Take a
and so
screenshot.
I am
You
so
can frame
thank
it.
you, Anthony. Thank you. And hopefully your mom's listening too.
She can watch it probably.
Yeah.
The replay of the live.
So your daughter, you want to give a shout out to your
to Lexi.
daughter?
Shout out to Lex.
Yeah. And then who else would you like to acknowledge?
You.
Oh,
You've been
thank
doing
you.
phenomenal things. It's really encouraging to see you down at Starter Studio.
I know,
all
it's
the
nice
time.
to see you.
It is really nice to see you. And I think it was nice to have this special time together.
Yeah, it was. I know. It was like pulling teeth, I have to tell you, because I go, come on, I want you to be on the show, please, please,
Yeah,
please. And
my
she's going, I don't
calendar.
know.
So, do you like your first time on radio?
It was a phenomenal experience. This is super cool.
Yeah.
And it felt really good to come home to Valencia. I haven't been on this campus in a long time, and it was cool to be here.
Yeah.
Good to hear.
So Anybody else you want to say a shout out to? I know we said Mom, Anthony, your daughter. Okay.
Next.
We'll say Carlos, thank you again. We'll acknowledge Carlos, yes.
My usual shout outs, my Aunt Darlene, my
Yeah.
family.
Oh my God. You don't know. His Aunt
Okay.
Darlene, I love his Aunt Darlene. She likes every show. She goes over here and
She
writes
shares every
stuff.
show.
Yeah.
Aw.
She's phenomenal. We love people that share the show.
Share the show.
Yeah.
Share the show.
Share the show. Yeah, that's got to be the hashtag. Share the show. And
Any more shout outs for you, Isabella?
Oh, well, again, special thanks to everybody that helped make TEDx Orlando, the education salon, successful. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you to all those sponsors, which was, by the way, BMDM. It was also, I want to acknowledge Grounding Roots, who gave us some really cool juices for the panelists. And then there was also Old Hearth Bread at East End Bakery. They gave us these little raspberry tarts. Oh my God, they were amazing. Seminole State gave us great cups that turn colors. They're like mood rings. They gave us markers. Full Sail gave us cool sunglasses and pins. There was like all this kind of swag that came in. And Valencia gave us lanyards. Seminole State also gave out journals that people could write in.
Stay organized.
Yeah, it was like amazing. We had really great sponsors. The programs looked beautiful. Oh, and Allie Figueroa. She was the graphic designer that created that program. So I feel like now I've acknowledged all the students, but Allie is amazing, and she is also from Valencia College. So there you go. So that's my shout outs.
And before we end the show, I want to do just like how we started it with me saying, this is Jerron, this is Isabella, but I want to include Diana too. So you ready for that?
I am.
All right. This has been Jerron.
This is Isabella.
And this has been Diana.
And thank you for listening to the Intern Whisperer Live. We'll see you next week.